Shut your mouth. I'm not done yet.
Who's his greatest point guard on the court?
Rondo.
Come on, man.
Don't be afraid to call Cam Newton trash, because he's trash. Okay,
Yo,
our season's over, and
here?
he's wasted. You're making a bad argument. Tom Brady, assistant quarterback.
Speaking of Jason Garrett, isn't he like the offensive coordinator of the Giants or something like that?
Don't be that person. Don't be that person.
Okay,
We're not going to get through this podcast if you're that person.
Are you kidding me?
Man, you're bugging.
Let's go.
Look, man, this guy is it.
I'm
This
here.
is the real
I'm
deal.
Here. Four, I got the Warriors to the team
What?
in front of them.
I would still say I would agree with that.
Even after the loss?
I will never count him out. This has been the closest that me and Cam have ever been to agreeing.
They drafted Patrick Mahomes. It didn't say franchise player. It said GOAT.
Touchdown.
And if you don't agree with that, then you don't know sports for real.
Yo, what is up, guys? It is Cam from the Kid and Kam podcast, and today we are starting this new series called The Problem With. Today we're doing the problem with the Raiders. You know, they started out 6-4, and it hasn't looked good since. They coming off 3 straight losses to the Colts, Chargers, and Dolphins, eliminated them from the playoffs. I'm just gonna give you a dive behind the scenes with them. Not really behind the scenes. I mean, it's all on paper, but I mean, you know, it's stuff that no one really looks at. I mean, we're looking back at their last really good playoff run, their last playoff run. And I don't even know how we could fix them, but I'm gonna tell you what they've been doing wrong. Just some simple things. Starting off, like I said, they had a really good playoff run, and it was a long time ago. It was 18 years ago. It was in 2002. I was born. You know, Tampa Bay had their current head coach now, Jon Gruden, as the head coach. He was formerly the coach of the Oakland Raiders at the time. You know, since 2002, you know, they haven't really been good since 2016. Honestly, they haven't been good either. And before 2016, they were kind of a laughing stock for a minute there, especially when Lane Kiffin was the head coach. Derek Carr was kind of their savior at one point in 2016. I thought he was going to win the MVP in that season. He got hurt. Made it to the wild card, and they just really struggled on both sides of the ball. I mean, this year, it really shows. I mean, their defense is ranked 31st, and their offense is ranked 22nd. Their best receiver is their tight end. He has 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. And, obviously Derek Carr is their quarterback. Josh Jacobs, he has just under 1,000 yards rushing. I mean, he's their best scorer, too. You can't really blame Jon Gruden. He's been trying to build him a little franchise over there. In the first round alone, in 2020, he took Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnett, both solid players. I feel like they can pan out for them. 2019, they got Cleveland Farrell, Josh Jacobs, and Abram. Those are both good players. 2018, they got Colton Miller, an offensive lineman. He's not as good as you'd think, but he's not terrible. Garyon Conley in 2017, a corner. Didn't really pan out for them as much. Carl Joseph, he's decent. I don't think he is anymore. 2015, Amari Cooper. He's not even on the team anymore. 2014, Khalil Mack. We know how he is. Not on the team anymore. 2013, DJ Hayden. I can't remember when I last seen this guy. And in 2012 and 2011, they didn't even have a pick. So, and all these players I'm naming, some of them aren't even on the team anymore. And you just got to look back at, I looked at a couple of their drafts, and only 2 times I seen a player that was outside of the first round that I was like, okay, he might have a future with his team. He might pan out, and that's Derek Carr and Max Crosby. Obviously, Max Crosby, he had the sensational rookie year. And Derek Carr is, Derek Carr. Everybody knows who Derek Carr is. He's not the best starting quarterback, but he's an average one at worst. He's an average quarterback. But I mean, to be a good team, I mean, we've talked about this before on the podcast. You have to have both sides of the ball. And here recently it's all offense, but back then it was sort of defense. It was sort of both. You could win if you had a little bit of both. And this year, I mean, they got the 31st defense, not good at all. They got the 22nd offense, not good at all. I mean, that's below the middle. I mean, you can't win with this team. Let's just look at their season this year. Impressive wins. New Orleans Saints, Kansas City Chiefs. Can't doubt that. They're, middle, not so bad, not good wins. It was Cleveland at the time. They didn't have their chemistry together, and they won. It wasn't spectacular, but it wasn't terrible. And then they're not good wins, teams that they should beat: Carolina, Chargers, Denver, Jets. And then they have a whole bunch of bad losses where you have New England, Atlanta, the Chargers. Just looking back at the bad losses, New England, 36-20. they lost by 16, but I mean, that's a Cam Newton-led team. I mean, we just talked about this on the podcast. Cam Newton is not good. He's doo-doo, you know what I'm saying? They just need to clean up both sides of the ball. I mean, let's just look back at the history. The offense have only been in the top 16, which is half the league. If you're ranked at 16, you're in the dead middle of the league. 4 times. In since 2002 and 2020, 4 times they've only ranked in the top half of the league in offense. And those years were 2010, 2011, 2016, which has been good. And whenever I took these notes down, it was 2020. And you can't even take, so that's 3 times. That's 3 times. And now you look at it and they've only finished they've only been top 16 3 times since 2002. That's 18 years. In my lifetime, they've only ranked in the top 16 3 times. And the defense, they've only ranked twice. 2006 and 2010. The offense has ranked top 16 in yards 5 times. 4 times, my bad. 2010, 2011, 2016, and 2019. And that you keep seeing a repeating year. That's one year I do want to point out. It's 2016. 2016, they were in their stride. They had Derek Carr playing at an MVP candidate level. Had Amari Cooper, he's playing amazing. You had I think the running back at the time was Latavius Murray. He was playing amazing. This team really looked like they could win it all. Not really win it all, but they looked like they could go to the divisional round and put up a fight. You know what I'm saying? But Derek Carr, he got hurt that year. Honestly, I thought he was going to win the MVP. Obviously, he got hurt, so he didn't do that. But, I mean, since then, they've just been on a downward spiral. I can't explain it. I mean, Jack Del Rio, they fired him. Let's talk about head coach real quick. Jack Del Rio fired him. They brought in Jon Gruden a little bit after. His whole career, he's been a little bit over 50. He's 51%, a little bit over 50% win-loss. I think he's stooped down a little bit because he's recent losses. But when I wrote these down, he was 113 wins, 109 losses. And his average division finish is I have the stats. He is 2.4. So he doesn't even average. I mean, if you round it up, yeah, he averages second in his division. But is that really gonna help you? You want a guy that can at least. I would rather have a 1.7. I mean, again, that's hard. But you gotta think this man coached the Oakland Raiders when. I mean, I can't even remember when Kansas City was a threat back then as much as they are now. Your biggest threat was the Chargers, probably, with Drew Brees. Still, and he has one Super Bowl, Tampa Bay versus Oakland. We talked about that in 2002. He has 4 10 or better win seasons, and let's just speak about that. This year they started out 6-4. They are 7-8. They started out 6-4 and are 7-8. I don't think you understand this. I mean, he has 4 10 or better win seasons in 14 years of coaching. Only 4 of those years, he has 10 or better wins. So that means that 10 years he's had less than 10 wins. And he's 5-4 in the playoffs. If you take out the Super Bowl year, 2-4 in the playoffs. You have a guy that if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, if you take out his Super Bowl run with Tampa Bay, he's 2-4 in the playoffs. Is this a guy that can lead your team to the Super Bowl after some years? I mean, his drafting hasn't been bad, like we said. Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, Cleveland Farrell, Josh Jacobs, Abram, Colton Miller. Hasn't been horrible, but I mean, it could always be better. I mean, Cleveland Farrell at that, you would have took. It was Josh Allen? Wasn't he on the board? Josh Allen, not the quarterback, the defensive end. Out of Kentucky, wasn't he on the board? I could have sworn he was on the board. I mean, it's just and then another thing this year, your offense is ranked 22nd in the league, and I'm not gonna blame him for this, but you have a brand new offensive coordinator, and I'm not talking brand new to like your team. I'm talking brand new to the game of coaching. You have Greg Olson as your offensive coordinator. I mean, if I'm looking back at these games. You put up 40 on the Chiefs, but you only won by 8. The Saints have been your most impressive one. You won by 10 against them. You beat the Cleveland Browns by 10. You only scored 16 points in that. And then if we want to look at your losses, I mean, you put up 12 points against the Denver Broncos. You put up 28 against the Jets. I mean, 28 against, a mediocre team would be good, but this is the Jets we're talking about. You put up 20 against the Buccaneers. I mean, that wasn't that terrible. Let's talk about this. You only put up 6 points against the Atlanta Falcons. They have been an offensive-heavy team since 2016. Are we going to doubt that? They have definitely been an offensive-heavy. I mean, they got the pieces on defense, but their offense always outperforms their defense. And in the Los Angeles Chargers, you went to overtime. It was a great game to watch for entertainment value, but you went to overtime with them. Don't get me wrong. Justin Herbert's an amazing quarterback, but Chargers are not that good of a team. I don't know. I think it's the coaching. I'm going to give you my personal opinion. I think it's the coaching. But, I mean, just looking back at your success this season, hasn't been good at all. I mean, you started out 6-4. Don't get me wrong. That's good. You're on pace for what? You're on pace for like a 9-7 season probably. And you say that, and then in your past 6 games, you're 1-5. Your only win coming against the Jets, you lost to the Chiefs, Falcons, won against the Jets, and then the Colts, Chargers, and Dolphins you all lost against. And let's be honest here, you're probably going to lose to the Broncos on the 3rd. You aren't a good team. I'm not trying to just diss the Raiders. I'm just saying the problem with them is their coaching. I mean, if you look at all the stuff that I just told you, the one thing that should stand out to you is their coaching. Jon Gruden, don't get me wrong, he's a great coach. He is. But I just don't think he can coach anymore. Greg Olsen as your offensive coordinator. You should have hired him as your tight ends coach first, something. See how he can even coach. Because, I mean, you just throwing him in the fire at that point with an offense that their top receiver is their tight end. I mean, who you going to throw the ball to? Hunter Renfrow? Because, I mean, look, Darren Waller, don't get me wrong, Darren Waller's a great player. I'm not trying to diss him. But, I mean, come on, man. But, Darren Waller's your top tight end. Nelson Aguilar's second at 839 receiving yards. And then after that, I mean, it kind of drops off talent with Hunter Renfrow. But, I mean, Henry Ruggs you're easily your second best talent-wise receiver on your team. Nelson Aguilar isn't horrible, but he's not the best. You know what I'm saying? So, you look back at this, and you not really look back at it, but you look at the stats, and it's just, I mean, you look at other teams, you're like, okay, yeah, they got a solid number 1 and number 2 receiver, but this team has just a number 1 tight end. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they could, honestly, if they take Darren Waller out and put Kyle Pitts in, they'll be rotted. But, I mean, and then you look at the rush situation. Your backup running back has better yards per carry than your starting running back. Don't get me wrong. Josh Jacobs is an amazing player. I'd kill to have him on my Green Bay Packers. But, I mean, come on, man. You gotta help this man out with an offensive line or something. And, I mean, that could be your problems right there. Your offensive line. I mean, you drafted one in the first round, and who even knows how long? I mean, I just went back to 2010 with these draft rounds. I could have went further back, and we don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you just need to, I think this year they need to somehow get Penei Sewell somehow, some way. Start building. I mean, he's like you just need you a Quentin Nelson and get him some average offensive linemen around him, and your offensive line would be good. This team is pathetic. I'll just put it like that. This team is pathetic. Problem with the Raiders is the coaching. They need to change the coaching.